Can I break it down?
Break it down, bro.
I'm going to break down the art of the shakedown. There was a book that was actually written on it, but I knew about this before the book was written. So let me just break it down in layman's terms. This is what a shakedown is, and Jesse Jackson and his crew have specialized in this. He's the king, the grand master. I think he has the Kung Fu Finger book of shakedowns, and this is how it goes. What you do is you pick a white corporation, usually liberal. And most white liberal, you're going to see with most white corporations that they're not going to really have a whole lot of black people in powerful positions there. So what you do is you go to them and you protest first. You protest them, and then you protest about, oh, you're not hiring blacks and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So then once you do that, the people who run the corporation call you, the leader of the protest, into a meeting. And in this meeting, they ask you, what do you want? They cut a check, and then what you do after the check gets cut, you go to your people, tell them that the protest is over, you get paid, and then you wait for the next company or the corporation to shake down. The people don't know what you're doing. The people just assuming, and then you get some window dressing. They might hire somebody who's black and blah, 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 just, so they can say some progress was made and your protest was effective and whatever. But the reality is the whole reason why you raised the issue was so that you can be the liaison and get paid. It's the shakedown. And he shook down Major League. Name all the people that he shook down. He shook down Major League Baseball. He shook down the Oscars. Pepsi,
Grammys.
The Grammys. Let's go on and on.
Are we missing anything?
I mean, he's done it with so many corporations. I mean, I lose track. What didn't he do with the NBA too?
Yes, he did.
NBA, NFL. I mean, yeah, just pick one. I always tell the story that happened to me, and actually, you know about this. You remember an organization called Nzinga? See, Nzinga taught me a lot about the games that people play in our community. And it also told me a lot about Reverend Jesse Jackson, who's the master of this particular strategy called the shakedown. Right. And what it is that the people set up these organizations in the so-called urban communities, to cater to the disadvantaged youth. So the window dressing is spectacular. Everybody wants to do a program that appeals to the youth. They want to take the youth and teach the youth skills and stuff like that. But what it is these programs are just shakedowns. What happens is they get the people that sit up on the board get the funding for the program, and then they bleed the program dry and throw the scraps to the kids until eventually they can say that, oh, well, this isn't making any money, and then the whole thing closes down, and then they move on to the next shakedown. You know what I'm saying? And this happens way too many times. It's what we don't really talk about and we don't really touch on. I mean, it's been touched on, probably focus on more on my show and your show more than anybody's. But we try to get into the internal things of what's going on in our culture, Right. And we don't really talk about, there's a system in place of poverty pimping. There's people with a vested interest in us being in the condition that we are in. And those people are the same people that we look to as leadership. So that's a hell of a trick bag for us collectively as a culture to be in. Because usually when you have an organization, like if you read The Art of War, they even have a section in The Art of War dedicated to spies. Right. So if anybody's expecting to have an organization and not have spies, you need to get with the program. As a matter of fact, The Art of War, Sun Tzu expects spies, and he goes about how to use spies to your advantage. But very rarely does the spy reach the level of leadership roles within a military organization or within a culture. Right. But in our culture, the spies, the agents, reach top-notch leadership positions.
Right. It's these hand-picked leaderships. You know, it's the appointed, the person that's the spokesperson, like you said, the toll booth, the person that says, oh, he's the activist. He's the one that if something goes down, the camera's going to be on him. The news is coming to him. He's where you organize through him. And usually when you have those self-appointed leaders, they're usually bought out. They're people that they can control and they can give directives to, and they can sit down. I mean, look at Al Sharpton. We talk about Al Sharpton. I never forget seeing in the I was looking at the Post on the cover. He's got a wire. He was doing, I think, for some mob family or whatever, but he's wearing a wire for the government. I mean, that, you know.
Yeah, you know what? I can't really speak on that particularly. I remember that whole incident, but I don't have enough information on what went down for me to really make a comment on it. But I do remember that whole scenario, what you're talking about, because that was a big thing back then, and that's when Automatics was involved, you know, to help him get out of that situation.
Right.
I do remember that, but I don't have the details to that. But I do remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
You know, I do remember that whole incident.
I'm taking a real strong stance on this. Before I was kind of like I let people get away with it, and I didn't really, you know, hold them to the fire. Now I think in light of what we're going through right now, these people need to be held to the fire. And this is my position, and I think that this is a position that we should have as a principle. You cannot make money off the struggle.
Right.
If you make money off the struggle, that is a conflict of interest. It's so funny that this is the same thing that's going on with the Democratic Party right now. The Democratic Party has a little civil war going on because you have people that are corporatists who are big donor candidates who take money from Wall Street and from corporations. And then you have the other faction that says, if you are going to represent us, you cannot take money from big donors in Wall Street. So isn't it ironic that we're having the same situation here, except the only difference is, at least in the Democratic Party, they acknowledge that that is a dynamic. In the conscious community and just in the black community as a whole, I've never heard this addressed except by us.
Is it true?
Can you think of anybody else who's addressing this?
No, not at all.